Sweet. All right, we're live. I'm just gonna make sure everyone knows we are live. We are live. Excellent. Okay, so if you don't already know, I am Hoodler. I am captain of the Vegas Golden Knights. I am joined by Calgary Flames captain, Race Boy. Be joining us
How's it
for
going?
we're going to be joining us for basically our weekly show. So if you tuned in last week, kind of the reiteration of that, we're just going to kind of go down the standings here, look at the last 10, even though I know they only played 8. Kind of gives us an idea how their week went. Most of the standings are updated except a few teams here, so we're pretty much up to date. Stats are rolling in, rosters are updated, so it's going to go a little bit smoother this time. So I guess we'll start here. First, not losing a step is Tampa Bay Lightning. So they are obviously captained by Teaspoon and Luckton. 22-2. They're leading in goals. They're not giving up a whole lot. Last 10, 9-1. I think they split with the Detroit Red Wings this week, so that's where one of their losses came from. So I'm just going to open up their page here. We'll go through some of their players. Obviously, Teaspoon, I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm actually not pretty sure. I'm 100% sure he is in the lead for points right now. And then Mbell's up there somewhere in the top 5. SBDR definitely in the top 15. Luckton leading defenseman in points. We've kind of said it so many times, it's almost redundant. I mean, their core is just so good. It's hard to beat. Not really a whole lot to talk about in my opinion, but they're 9-1. Race Boy.
Yeah, Teaspoon's got 116 points in 24 games. That's just silly, as we all know. I mean, you look at their goal differential at 94, 155 goals for. That's way more than anyone else.
Right. Yeah. That's they're scoring a lot. Both SBDR and I know SBDR got traded, but a majority of his points have came with the Lightning. At least half of them. Both him and Mbell have 34 goals. Teaspoon with 60. So obviously very offensive heavy. I don't really see them. I mean, unless they have a bad week, I don't really see them falling out of that top spot. But they do have to play some tough teams coming up. I'm going to pull up on their page again. I think we can see here. So they play the Gladiators, who they one of their losses came through, and looks like they might have a couple of easy games coming up. But they do have to play the Gladiators again on Monday, so that should be a good one to look out for. Calgary, this is your team. I'll let you take over. I mean, how was your week? How are your players doing?
It was okay. Not too bad. We had one of our easier weeks. It was nice to kind of relax a little bit after having a couple tough weeks at the We split the series against you guys, won all of our other games. You and I had a really good series. I thought our teams played pretty well against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Could have gone either way. I think you guys definitely won the second game without a doubt, though, for sure. Other than that, we're putting up quite a few points. Everyone's contributing all across the board, so we're pretty happy so far.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the stats alone, I mean, your top players really aren't that far apart. So obviously, you're getting it done by committee, which is, I think, probably the best scenario. At least in this game, I think everyone knows at this point there is no more carrying. You know, you can't just draft one really good player and expect them to do it all for you. So, but yeah, Shelder leading the charge. Dainty not too far behind him, followed by Clouds not too far behind him, only by 2 points. And then even Rob, who's played 4 less games, is only 12 points away from them. So, and even yourself as a D-man. Have you been playing forward at all?
No, I haven't played a game at forward yet, and both my D partners are pretty offensive. So normally I just sit back. So I'm pretty surprised that I have that many points, but doing pretty well. And yeah, I think we have a really good spread of points there throughout our forward group and even our D group, maybe more than any other team. So that's pretty good to see that everyone's contributing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably one of the most probably one of the biggest reasons you guys are so successful so far. And I just noticed too, you guys traded for Steve. Has he played yet? Or Mason?
He he has not played yet. No, we traded for him at the end of last week, or I guess this past week. So have yet to put him in net, but he almost played forward for us the other day. Actually,
Okay.
we had a guy come in late, but our guy was able to come and make it in time.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you guys traded Payment, right? Payment.
Yeah, we traded Season for payment, and then traded payment for Steve. We're pretty happy with it. I played with Steve in our Mem Cup run that I got sent for in LG, or sent down for in LG this past season, and I thought he was outstanding. So it was definitely a good pickup for us. And we're not looking towards the regular season. We're looking towards the playoffs, hopefully. So that was our goal, and we think he'll be a good goalie for the playoffs.
There you go. Yeah. Moving on, Atlanta Gladiators. I guess I'm not that surprised. They're 20 wins, 3 losses, 1 overtime loss. Uh, pretty solid numbers. They're not like jumping off the wall at you as far as difference between goals for and goals against. But obviously, we're going to take a look at their stats here. But I know Owen's definitely leading the charge offensively here. They're also kind of getting it done by committee a little bit. Yakov has been playing a little forward. Andy, I believe. Bo just got traded there. They have Disney. Six string Sludge is a serviceable defenseman. They're playing good hockey. I mean, Woody's is a pretty good center. A lot of people like him at center. He's obviously good on faceoffs. And Owen is a great winger to supplement him. So I played with Owen, as everyone knows, on my last LG team, and we played really well together. And you can just tell by his numbers that he's very even as far as the goals and assists. So doing really well. They have a tough matchup coming up against the Lightning. I'm actually really excited for that. So just looking at the week ahead, they have to play the Lightning, and then it looks like they might have an easier week after that. So yeah, I mean, I think from the beginning, just the defenseman and Yakov, who's obviously very offensive minded, and then Disney, who is in the offensive zone. He likes to take it to the net, in my experience, but he does play very well defensively. He plays a big build, so very well built team. Thoughts, Reese Boy?
Yeah, looking at their starting lineup, they can really hang with anyone, and they've shown it so far. I'm looking forward to seeing them fight it out against the Lightning. They thought they should have won both those games against Lightning, so we'll see how it goes this time. They've also got a solid tandem. Both their goalies are above 800 save percentage, so that's looking good too. So I don't really see a weak spot here. They've got a solid team, and the record's really showing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bo ultimately allows Yakov to go back to left wing, so I think that's a really good pickup on their front. And I know for a fact.
You mean lefty?
Yeah, I'm sorry, lefty. Yeah, so I know Yakov was playing a little bit of left wing there. Yeah, I think he had I forget what the number was. He had like 9 goals in 2 games or something like that. But regardless, he's a good lefty, definitely more offensive. But yeah, I think having Bo there really solidifies that front with Woody at center, Owen at right wing, and then obviously Bo at left wing. All right, moving on to my team, which is Vegas. We had an okay week. We thought this was easily our hardest week. We had to play Detroit twice, and then we had to play you guys, and then Buffalo, which was maybe a little bit of an easier team here. But yeah, ultimately, I can't complain. Just looking at our numbers here, I'm having a good season. But besides that, my support on wing has just been awesome. I've even had Cougar play a couple games at forward. Uptown has been great. Cynical has been great. Shotgun's been great. We ended up 5-3 on the week. Split with the Red Wings, split with the Flames, won both against Buffalo, and then split with the Red Wings again last night. Playing good hockey, I think, against a good team. So I'm happy with the way that we're playing. Going forward, we have a little bit of easier week. We do have a matchup I'm looking forward to with the Gladiators. But ultimately, very happy with my team. I can't really complain. So I'm not going to really talk too much about our team. Race Boy, thoughts?
Yeah, and you guys just picked up Saints Show, right?
Yeah, Sank Show too he's played a couple of games with us. He's been real good.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a weak spot at all in your roster. You guys are looking really solid. Especially with the addition of Saints Show. Georgia Boy's been a great surprise. Same with Shotgun. He's been awesome for you guys. Jules is great in net, so you guys are definitely contenders, have been from the start, and schedule or your records showing it. And well done on almost 100 points so far. Hopefully, you get that next series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that personally, but I do have to shout out at least Georgia Boy, who's been just obviously, like you said, just a great surprise. Ultimately, he's been really good on defense. I think he played a game at forward, I want to say, against Buffalo. But yeah, just really good attitude. Cynical has been a really good, energizing attitude. Really refreshing to have him around. So yeah, really happy with our team so far. Moving on to the Rangers, captained by Gator and Mayers. And the hot talk of the town is how hot Mayers is doing as far as points. He jumped up from what it was like 35 points the last time I saw. So he's had like 50 points almost this week. So I'm pretty sure he's like third in points right now, right behind me. So he's creeping up, and man, he had a week if I've ever seen one. So yeah, obviously looking at the points, him and Spliff are getting it done, man. They have the same record as us. We split against them last week. Ultimately, they're a good team. I mean, he's even played a couple of games at goalie, it looks like, pretty successfully. So Satan Gator, in my mind, probably a top 5 goalie in this league. I think he's really good. I really like his attitude. Lakar is good. Jim from Files is good. I don't really know too much about anyone else besides Tanaka, who is obviously an ultimate threat. He's been playing in other leagues for as far as I can remember. Every league that I've played in, he's been in at this point. So, yeah, I mean, they have a good roster. I thought from the start that they were going to be at least decent, and they're slightly exceeding my expectations, but they're a great team. So, what are your thoughts? You get to match up against them Monday.
We do. That's going to be a tough one for sure. We lost both last time, one in OT and one was a shootout, 7-6. So I thought we had a chance to win both those games, just couldn't get it done. But I think at the start of the season, everyone looked at their forward group and said, all right, these guys are going to get it done, but what about their defense? And their defense have really shown up to play. Lakar has been great. Jim's been a surprise to the whole league. He's played awesome, and they've really got it done with those guys.
Yeah, I already knew Lakar was pretty good just from last season. I think I got a good look at him, but I had no idea who Jim was, and he's been solid. When we played him, he was tough to play against. So
yeah, absolutely. With that starting group, especially those forwards, I'm not surprised they're this high up, and I can see them going pretty deep in the playoffs if they continue this stretch they were.
Yeah, looking at their upcoming week, they have a pretty decently hard week. I mean, they're playing 2 top 10 teams. Hershey is not too far behind them. They're pretty good. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have probably, I guess I don't know. I'm not going to look right now, but they do probably have one of their toughest weeks of the season coming up, so this will be a good test for them. Okay, moving on. Detroit Red Wings. All right, that's captained by Gao and Miniwick. Got a really good look at their team. I played them twice. We played 2 different lines. Ultimately, we controlled the pace all 4 games. Gecko was standing on his head all 4 games, even the ones that we won. But they find a way to score, man. I don't know what it is. They beat I forget the scores on Monday. We played them. I think it was 4-3 both games. One of them was an OT for us, and then yesterday we won 4-3 and then lost 6-1. But if you would have looked at the stats, it wouldn't have looked that way to you, I'm sure. But ultimately, Miniwick playing great. They traded Iverson, no longer on the roster. Sophisticated had a big game too against us. I think he had like 5 goals or something like that against us. Heisman Award. I remember a specific play. I think it was their first goal. He had a really nice sauce across the dot to the corner of the net. So he's been good. Hoots has been good. Another team, almost very. I mean, I'm not going to say it's similar. I guess roster wise, but as to the Flames, I think they're getting it done by community offensively. They don't have a superstar forward, but they're all working really well together. And just by playing them, I could tell that when they got their chances, they were scoring. So, thoughts, Race Boy?
Yeah, they're definitely a solid team. When we played them, they didn't have their best lineup in. We controlled most of the games, but either way, I mean, it shows with their record, they're doing pretty well. They're definitely scoring by committee. That's gone a long way for them. Sophisticated, I think, is being a good surprise. Everyone knew that he was going to be a decent player, but he's definitely shown up for that team. And same with Iverson, although Iverson's moved now, so we'll see how that affects their team going forward. But pleasant surprise. They thought they'd do well. Not many did, but they're showing everyone who thought they weren't going to do very well wrong. So that's good to see.
Yeah, I think Gao is definitely looking forward to having a really good draft, and he did. And then he's looking forward to even proving people wrong. Because I forget who put out the graphic after the first week. They were like 7-1, but still in just like a playoff bubble category or something like that. But
Yeah, it was funny.
that was obviously grinded his gears a little bit. So he wrote himself a nice little write up, but failed to write a week 2 write up after they went 4-4. So
I'm disappointed, man. I love those write-ups.
yeah,
Keep them coming.
don't know what happened. But besides his goalies, he's actually the only one that has not scored on the team, even though he has like one of the best plus minuses in the league defensively. So I find that to be kind of funny. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, they're a decent team. There's a reason why they're in the place that they are. So can't really say it when you split with them, right? So Ducks. Maybe not the best week for them. They got spanked by the Swamp Rabbits, and I know that stung. They traded VMAT, who is arguably one of their better forwards. But they did get Bruce in return, who they then flipped for. I forget who they flipped Bruce. I think it was for. I forget who they flipped him for. No, I can't think of it.
I'll see if I can find it for you.
But anyways, Finn has been on fire. He's been having a good season. But this is maybe not one of those teams that is getting it done by committee. I thought they're kind of underwhelming me right now. If I'm being brutally honest, I thought that they would easily be a top 5 team. They did have a tough week. Maybe a fluke against the Swamp Rabbits. I don't know. I think they are the better team than the Swamp Rabbits, but 10-3 against them is, it's a tough break if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that's a rough day.
Clearly, Wisco is their starting goalie, 84 save percentage, 7 wins. Finn, top point scorer. I think he's in the top 10 in scoring as well. Maserati is his boy. They play well together. Coherent. He's a good defenseman. Canadian gamer. I'm not sure if he's playing goalie now. If that's his full-time position, but he played defense when we played him. I think a week ago, and he was okay. But yeah, they're having an okay season here. I'm not sure if they're going to continue to make trades. I think it would behoove them to maybe go after another good forward. But yeah, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, the forward group looks a bit different since the start of this year, since the draft, really. It's Q is Finn's boy. He's a solid player. Nobody knew about him. I scouted him, and he's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
Ovechkin's been a pretty good surprise there too. I think they still have Brucey. I think they've got him still. And then I think Canadian Gamers, he's played a few games at goalie, just and not in relief, but if one of their goalies or either of their goalies aren't
You know
able to
what?
come.
You're
So
right. I'm sorry. He got traded from Florida to here. I had it mixed up. You're right.
yeah.
Okay.
Gamers looked all right in net, surprisingly enough, filling in when they don't have a goalie. But solid defense. They've got a solid team. It looks weaker than after the draft in my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still kicking and they're still playing fairly well. Definitely struggled this week though.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at the week ahead. They have to play the Swamp Rabbits again, so I think that's going to be on their calendar for sure. But they're set up for success, let's say at least their next few games. So hopefully they have a really good week here and bounce back. Hershey, man, I think in my eyes since the draft, surprising a lot of people. They're in a playoff spot. They're not even in the last playoff spot. I mean, they're in a playoff spot. You know what I mean? So they're in a playoff spot by at least 9 points, or I'm sorry, 8 points at this point. So they have a difference of 12. Not exactly the best differential in the league, but they're getting it done. I mean, 8-2 their last 10. I'm not sure how they did on their week. Maybe Owen can chirp in here, but let's look at their forward group here. Korea, probably more commonly known as Sea Turtle. He changed his name. Having a good season. 17 games played and 52 points. Pretty damn good. Kurtz having a pretty decent season here. A little over 2 points per game. Mr. Cush is a D-man. He has 30 points, so he's got to be up there with the defenseman, undoubtedly.
He's definitely playing forward the most, I think. I think he's their main center.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if one of the Bears can jump in, but that's what he signed up as, I think, and that's where we scouted him. And he's a really good player.
Okay. Orbit Save, or I'm sorry, Own Distress. I'm pretty sure he's playing D. So 30 points. He may have played a couple games at forward, but yeah, I mean, I'm proud of him. I did not think that he was going to have a great draft. Richard rather is no longer there. He got traded. They did pick up Orbit Save. They're kind of making these like low key trades that are slowly building their team to be a little bit better here, and they're kind of my team to watch right now. I really believe that. Like long term, maybe not so much a week to week or a game by game basis, but they're slowly moving up to the standings. They were in 10th place last time, I believe, maybe in 11th, and now they're up to 8th. They've been 8-2. So I think it's time to start doubting them as a team. Ultimately, they're making some good plays. I think Orbit Save was one of their better trades. Rod has been playing goalies at an 84 save percentage, so he's been pretty damn good. Yeah, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, just looking at their stats, Mr. Cush is the most faceoffs taken, so that's he's definitely playing center there.
Okay.
And they made that trade, I believe, Richard and Aeropus for Benny and the one and only one, and I think that's
a big one. Yeah.
It's a wicked steal of a trade, regardless of how much those two guys play. You're going to get some really good games out of those two guys, and that's going to bolster their lineup huge. I think that one of the reasons their goal differential is so bad is they've gotten blown out a few times, but that's about it. Kurtz is being a really good surprise for them. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
And then you got the addition of Orbit Save up front. That's going to go a long ways.
Yeah, I've played a lot with, maybe not a lot. I have played a little bit with Orbit Save because he is buddies with Jules. So I've got to see him, and man, he has improved if I have ever seen an improvement.
Oh yeah, he's good now. He's solid.
He's good. He's a solid. I mean, probably at least an above average moves forward at this point. So
definitely. And then you got Rod sitting at a 837 save percentage, and
yeah,
they're looking good, man. They're looking really good. Definitely a surprise, but I'm glad to see them doing well.
Yeah, again, another team that's getting it done by committee. They're not scoring a ton. They don't have a superstar forward on their team, but they do score, and they're doing enough of it to win. So that's all I can really say. Moving on to San Jose, a little bit disappointing. considering their goal differential is likely more related to the people in the top 10, top 8, sitting at number 9 right now. They're only a point behind, 14 9 and 1, but man, 134 goals just by let's see. So they're third in the league in goals for. So obviously, just doing the math in your head, you would obviously know that their goals against maybe not the best, but still they're having a massive differential and they're sitting in ninth place. They're 7-3 of their last 10, so they've had I would assume a good week here. But yeah, shoot, dude, little disappointing considering their roster because I think they do have a good roster with Costa, J Hubs, Chucky, Brooksy, Furry, even Darius is decent. They have a decent team. I mean, I guess I don't understand how they're not maybe not at the top of the standings, but a little bit better than where they're at. Maybe a couple extra wins. They do have some scoring. Obviously, their top 3 forwards: J Hubs, Chucky, Brooksy. I would safely assume they're getting it done offensively, but it sounds like they might be getting beat a little bit defensively. Darius's save percentage is at below 74%. Maybe some goalie issues. What are your thoughts, Race Boy?
Yeah, this is another one of those teams that looks quite a bit different than when they came out of the draft. I know they just recently traded for J Hubs and just before that Costa. So we'll see how much of an impact that makes on them. But I don't know if it's Darius struggling or if it's their defense struggling. It could be a bit of both. But obviously their forwards are clicking pretty well at a high rate there. If as long as they can figure out this defensive stuff and keep the puck out of their net, they should move up the standings there.
Yeah, when I played them, I think I played. Shoot, I think the only forward that they had left was Vanny. I don't see anyone on this roster that I played against. So besides Odie, Kesey, and Darius. So yeah, they've made some trades. Obviously, the roster looks way different. Little disappointed, but they did have I assume the last 10 games went pretty well for them at 7-3. So moving on here.
I heard J Hubs. Sorry, I just heard J Hubs was doing some wicked stuff in net for them. So maybe that'll spark them a little bit so that he can jump back onto four.
Yeah, it's pretty well known that he'll play anywhere. He's pretty good at any position. So ultimately, they're sitting in a playoff spot. So they're up by 7 points from the last spot. So safely in a playoff spot here. Moving on to Edmonton. They were my surprise team last week. I'm going to back up here. Sorry. Surprise team last week. Difference of 10. 6-4. Probably didn't have a great week. They lost their last 2 here. 14-7 overall. They were my surprise team last week, like I just said. I guess maybe everything's coming full circle here. I'm not sure how the week went. I don't really know a whole lot about the roster, so this is one of those I don't really I can't really talk a whole lot about. But they did make a trade for Koopy Poopy from Worcester Railers, however you say it, or no, the Thunder rather. I'm sorry, and victory is mine. And Skirt are getting it done. Looks like offensively. Koopy just got traded there. Not sure what kind of impact he's had. Yeah, I'm not really sure where to go with this one. Their goaltending and Superstar looks like it's been great. Maybe not so much Clumsy Ninja, but what are your thoughts here, Race Boy?
Yeah, they made quite a few trades. Skirt's looking good. He's looking like a steal. Other than that, we'll see what kind of an impact Koopy has. I don't know if he's going to play defense or forward. I know he can do both, so we'll see how that goes. Superstar's got some awesome stats, looking great. I think one guy that I'd like to see play a bit more might be Dreamer. We'll see if he can put some pucks in the net. He's known to be able to score a little bit there, but I don't know how much ice time he's been getting. Looks like B's been playing a lot and putting up some decent numbers. But you look at Dreamers plus minus, and that looks pretty good there, comparative. So, but yeah, it's definitely a surprising team. I think they might have got brought back a little bit down to earth after this past week, but they're looking good. I think they're looking to move up with that move for Koopy, and we'll see if they can climb the standings and get back to a more on the winning side next week.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their week ahead, I mean, they don't have super hard week, so I guess this would be a good test to see where they truly stand. I guess if they sweep all these teams, we'll know if they're good or not. This will be a good test to see where their skill level is, I think, ultimately. Colorado, Royals, San Jose, and Rockford. So,
yeah, if they are where we think they are, they should win most of the games this week. So we'll see where they come out of this week.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth mentioning that they do not have their games in from last night. So, and they're also missing likely an overtime win or loss. So, stay tuned for that. They could have moved up a few points here, a few spots. So, Florida, 11th place here, 11, 12, and 1, 5 and 5. So they're pretty much exactly where they were last time. But again, everyone knows at this point what happened. Hoodrat quit, left it with Lebronto and Frosty. They've made some good trades. They have a really good goalie in Azeroff, I think, who's posting up 83.5 save percentage. BC Retton, they traded Bruce, and they got VMAT. I'm not sure what the situation is there. But yeah, Frosty has clearly been their go-to guy. I mean, it's like really spread out offensively. So, I think that was the reason why they probably got VMAT, is to help a little bit with Frosty. He's probably going to play center, I would assume, Matt. That's ultimately, I think, their number one issue here. I don't think they have terrible defense. They have good goaltending, and they have a really good left wing. But they need to solidify a center or a right wing or someone else that's really, really going to propel them here offensively, I think, is their issue. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and they just made that trade for Sloth and Turk, I believe. So BC and Baby Fart are gone. Yeah, I think Lebronto's skating a little bit more now that they've got a solid goalie there, which hopefully will help their depth up front, or at least on the ice. Other than that, yeah, definitely Frosty's carrying the load. It could have to do with a few people coming in from different teams, so that might skew the points a little bit. Hopefully Sloth can provide them a little bit of depth, and same with Turk on the back end. But yeah, it was a rough start. They're hanging in there. They're doing all right, and yeah, hopefully they can start continuing on the upward trend to get back some wins there onto the winning category.
Yeah, I mean, obviously 5 and 5 their last 10 here, so have an average week. But what are you going to do? I mean, you have a guy draft a team for you, and you kind of get left in the dust. So, moving on here to the Rockford Ice Hogs. I was reminded by Finn that this was a team that actually put a whooping on the Ducks, I believe. So, 10, 12, and 2. Pretty much where I thought they would be at the start of the season. Probably a bubble team. They are captained by Zero and Surprise Me. Just looking here offensively, not a whole lot to write home about. Surprise Me, Wake the Fuck Up, and Gong Show are taking the reins. Zero is right there. Pogs, who plays D, is right there. I'm not sure if he's been playing forward. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of where I thought they would be. They have some good goaltending in Sir Puffington, but ultimately they kind of just have average offense and an average D. Not really very exciting, I guess is the word for it. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised they're struggling this hard, but I guess their depth is struggling a little bit. Pogs is a great player; he's really good. They got BDs who has 17 points in 4 games, so that's pretty wild. If they could get him to play a bit more, that might help them get a couple more wins. Pop's been solid in net. Gongsho's put up some points, but yeah, overall it looks like they just need to get some of their better players to play more often, and they'd probably end up in getting a few more wins out of it. But it looks like they're struggling to do that with neither of the captains are sitting in the high game range, and none of their full time guys, or at least not too many of them, are sitting right up there too. So if they can get
Yeah,
some of their better players to play some more, I think they'll grab some more wins there.
yeah. I mean, pretty much besides their goalie and one of their defensemen, almost all of them have only played half. So
Yeah, that's like surprised me at 12 games. Pogs at 13. If they could get surprise me at 20 and Pogs at 16, that might be 4 more wins. If
I
there's
mean,
somewhere around.
even I think Wake the Fuck Up was a really good pickup at 7. He played really good in the rookie showcase. I've played a ton with him. He's become one of my NHL buddies, so to speak. But yeah, averaging almost 3 points a game, 28 points in 10 games. He has 18 goals, 10 assists, plus 9. So it's not like they're doing terrible. I mean, almost all of them except for D's with cheeses are positive.
And I think
you
D's
know,
came from a different team too, so that has an effect on that. And yeah, Wake is definitely a solid player, definitely a steal for that bottom out. So yeah, I don't know. I just looking at their roster, I think as long as they can get some guys to play some more games for them, it might be an availability issue. But if they can, they're going to start trending upwards in my eyes.
yeah, I would not be surprised one bit to see them at least in the top 8. So, uh, moving on here, Wichita Thunder, captained by my boy Scrub and Falty Pack, I believe. They traded away their best player, but they did get 2 people in return, in Barstool and Big Rig. Yeah, I mean, looking at stat wise, I know they didn't play a whole lot, but man, they're struggling offensively here. I'm actually going to back up here. I'm sorry. I keep diving into their stats right away. They have a difference here of 13. So negative 13, that is. They 3-7 their last 10. They lost their last 3. Yeah, I mean, not really looking.
That power play percentage, man, that's rough.
Yeah, 12.2. You got to do better than that. Not looking good. Even their PK is not really looking that great either at 70. I mean, you're giving up a pretty good PK percentage there, but only 77 goals. I mean, that's a pretty big drop off from Rockford there. They just don't have a whole lot of offense. They have okay defense in my eyes, but I think their big problem here ultimately is their offense. I mean, they traded J Hubs to get 2. It was almost. This reminds me exactly of the trade that I was involved in last season with the Griffins, where I went for Vanny and who was it, Kelly. Very similar in my eyes. Not exactly the same. I'm not trying to insinuate that, but it is similar in that they get 2 good forwards for 1 weapon, essentially. And I think ultimately that was a good trade for them, because J Hubs gets to go to a team where I think there's a little bit more skill around him. And I think he's okay with that. And Big Rig and Barstool get to come help a team that's struggling offensively. And I think Big Rig is a good forward. I think Barstool is a good forward. They're doing okay, but they need to pick it up. Minesweeper negative 33 is a center. Boy, that's a tough go. Great. I mean, he's doing great on faceoffs.
Different team, though.
I mean, that is true, but he is doing great on faceoff. So, but yeah, he did. You're right. He did come from a different team, and he's doing okay point wise too. But they need someone to step up here and score a couple more goals, create some more offense. I think that's their issue. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was a good trade for them, honestly. Trading Hubs for 2 guys who can put up some points and add depth to their forward group. I think that's an important thing for them. Yeah, they moved him. You know, J Hubs is going to put up a bunch of points, but if you get 2 guys to add to your depth back to a team that needs depth really bad, that will make a big difference. And hopefully Jester Race. It depends on if he's back this week. They might trend upwards next week if he's back. But yeah, I think their biggest surprise has to be player positions in net. He's looked great back there in Scrub's absence while Scrub's gone. That might give them some more flexibility for Scrub to play somewhere else if they want to do that. And then Jay Rosie has played really well for them too. 10 points in 4 games against some tough teams. That's looked really good. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how they start meshing in the next week with their new forward group. And I look forward to seeing if they can turn it around, because their last 10 has been pretty rough. But at least they've been covering most of the spreads, though.
Yeah, I think they're set up for success this week. They play teams essentially right around their skill level. So this will be a good test. They get to play us this week. That'll be fun. I always love playing my boy Scrub. And Scrub is smart, man. He's always historically had good drafts and had good teams. I think he won 2 seasons ago, I believe, with Jelly and the Railers and whoever else it was, right? Do you remember?
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember who exactly was on their team. I think it was Scrub and Blue captaining, and yeah, Jelly was their forward crazy power, and that was the Walmart Gretzky season, I think.
Yeah, it was. Okay, I remember that. So I guess we're moving on here to the Railers. Clearly, they don't have their stats in, so I can't really tell where they are point wise. I guess as of 2 nights ago, they were 7-12-1. Sitting in a difference of -12, 2-8 in their last 10 at that point. They had lost their last 4. Not looking good. I'm not sure who they played this week, but I'm a little disappointed, considering I thought that Piggy and Blue Liner would have a really, really good draft, and I think they did have an okay draft. Point wise, Punkham, right? Or I don't even how do you say it? I don't even know how to say his name, to be
I
honest.
just call him Punk.
Punk. Well, let's
I
call
think
him
it's
Punk.
Puck, right?
He's been obviously their forward that's been getting it done. Matthews is not too far behind. Mox, also known as Czar, got traded there. He's almost averaging 3 points per game. Peck, I think he was a gamer tag change. He's been all right. And Piggy, I'm pretty sure he's playing defense. I'm not sure if he's playing forward, but he has 18 points in 8 games. Kind of, a middle of the pack team, roster wise. They have a couple people. Looks like they're playing center a little bit, in Matthews and Punk. But I don't really know a whole lot about Fresh or Pens fan that much, or Peck or Busy, or Matthews or Punk for that matter. So I haven't played a ton with these people, but their last 4 they lost. Not really looking too hot in their last 10. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've played with pretty much all these players. Punk's, I think, has been a really good surprise for them. He played a lot with me in scouting, and he's a really good dude, solid player. He's been a steal for them, obviously. As you can tell, he's got one of the best plus minuses on the team. Put up a ton of points too, so that's good to see. Then Blue and Piggy went for that group of buddies with Matthews, Peck, Fresh for Days, Busy, and then Zukri, who I believe they traded away. Or he went on another team, I can't remember. But they got the big group of friends, and they've got chemistry together, but it doesn't look like they're doing too well this season yet. I don't know if they're going to turn it around. I don't know if they need to make a change. But Fresh is a decent player, defenseman. He's all right. Busy can put up some points. He needs support around him, though. Matthews is a solid player. Can put up a decent amount of points, especially with chemistry around him. But yeah, I thought they'd have a better draft. A lot of people thought they had a good draft picking up those guys, but it doesn't seem to be doing the trick so far. They're struggling a lot for sure. We'll see it. It might be another case where they need some of their better players to play some more games too. Look at Piggy, only 8 games played, Mox 10, Matthews 13. So that might make an impact, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's actually a very good point. I didn't even think about that. Another team that, outside of blue liner, who was, the captain. His other captain is 6 games behind him at that point. And I know we're looking at only 20 games played at this point, but they need their better players to play more. And I guess at this point, with 20 games played, that's probably pretty close to where you would be, but still.
One thing that might make an impact on that team, though, is Nats is coming in to solidify their goaltending. So we'll see
true.
how they look next week, if they can change it around and get a winning week.
Yeah, payment will fit right in there. I'm sure that they will be looking to change up a roster spot here. Blue is obviously the president. He knows what's good. He knows what to do. Moving on. Colorado Avalanche, 5-5. Their last 10 here, so they have picked it up from the last week and even the week before. Obviously, they kind of had a falling out with Master. Obviously, life took over. He had essentially school to go to, and then Title had some personal stuff going on. They made a trade for Vanny. I think was a great trade. He's been very good since he's got there. I mean, 40 points almost in 14 games. Is -9. Most of that probably coming from his former team, or maybe not. I know he's been there maybe about half the season now. So, but yeah, I mean, outside of their top 3 here in Jay Resnick and Hockey Mike and Vanny, not a ton of offense. When we played them, man, didn't go pretty. Pretty much smacked them both games. They did make a trade to get or maybe it was a free agent pickup in Captain Chiba. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was a free agent. That was a really good pickup for them. I think that'll help them.
I agree. Yep, I definitely agree with the pickup there. Ultimately, Evil's holding it together. You got to give them at least a little credit for just keeping the team together. Obviously, Vanny's a good piece. Not sure if they're looking to make another trade here. If not, I really don't see them moving out of the spot. I mean, Vanny's is just not. I mean, it doesn't matter who you have there. You're just not going to get it done with a weaker roster such as this one, in my opinion. Looking at their week ahead, a little bit tougher of a week. They play Edmonton. They play the Sharks. They play the Flames, looks like. And then,
yeah, I think so.
And then the Gladiators, looks like they're missing a game. That's just a data issue. But yeah, tougher week ahead of them. They're going to have to play really, really well to beat some of these teams, especially Gladiators and Flames. And even the Sharks, they put up a lot of goals against a team that's not doing well defensively. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on them ultimately?
Yeah, I think they made a good trade for Vanny and A.O. Lucky. A.O. Lucky's kind of a sleeper guy. He's a pretty good defenseman, actually, especially if he has a good partner. I was talking to Evil, and he loves A.O. Lucky. He thinks that was a great pickup, and he won that trade because of getting Vanny and A.O. Lucky. Ultimately, they're struggling, but they're tied for the best record on the second page, even after all the stuff that went down. So props to them for holding it together. That's wild. Yeah, well done, and hopefully they keep it up. This week will be tough for them, but they're hanging in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when essentially your 2 best players quit and they're your captain. So goes without saying. Right behind them, tied, is Reading Royals. Yeah, I mean, I think the Reading Royals have slightly surprised me, I guess, in this circumstance. I thought for sure they would be a bottom 3 team. 7 and 15, but they don't have two of their games in. I'm actually about to look because this will make a difference to me. Look at their nightly scores here from last night. It is only in our captain's chat. Royals won both. Okay, so they won both. This is why. So then now they're ahead of the Railers. At least at this point,
up to 14th.
Yeah, so again,
unless the Railers have wins there, but
so
yeah,
they are 9 and 15 at this point. So that even more so exceeding my expectations. They made a good trade for Upshaw. even though I'm a little bit lower on Upshaw in this game. I thought when I first met Upshaw he was really good, but he just takes a lot of penalties, man. Takes a ton of penalties. I know he only has 12 in this game, but at least when we played him, he took quite a few. And he's been solid, though. I mean, they work out, and that chemistry, I'm sure, is there. I'm pretty sure they play a lot together. But this, again, I think is maybe looking at their team, kind of one of those situations where their best players aren't even playing. I mean, I'm not sure how good Hot Sox is, but I used to play with him quite a bit in NHL 18. He's another Detroit guy, or Michigan guy, rather. Gladiator out and Don't Hate, average players. I mean, their plus minuses aren't very good. Almost all their players somehow are negative, but they're really not that far. I mean, 9 and 15 sounds bad at first, but considering their roster, I think they're doing really well. Obviously, offense has been really hard to come by. Their top point scorer has 11 goals. So, struggling offensively. I'm sure they're doing their best to keep the puck out of the net. Don't Hate's been playing goalie a little bit and Gladiator out, so they're trying to get it done by committee. They are exceeding my expectations here a little bit, and they're doing okay, I think, for what they have. So I think Quinn Mann was a good pickup as well. So I'm sure him and Upshaw solidify their defense a little bit, which is probably why they've won a few games here. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, they just traded away, in my eyes, their best scorer in Orbit saves. So
Yeah,
I don't know. They're better than where I thought they would be. Honestly, I think their best players are 3 defensemen, but they're not awful. They're a mid-pack team, as their record says. It looks like they might be having troubles getting guys to play for them, but at least they're showing up and doing pretty well. Upshaw, he's a solid defenseman, but the pressure that they're seeing might be overloading their defense a little bit once in a while, as expected, as with anybody it would be, really. I think Collinelli was a good trade for them to make. I think they definitely got a solid defenseman back, but they really need scoring, and it shows. They're struggling to put the puck in the net. Although they're not getting scored on a whole lot compared to some of the teams around them, but they need some more scoring.
Yeah, that's kind of same read. I mean, we played them last week, early in the week. Didn't go well for them. Not a whole lot to say, but they are doing better than what I thought, and I gotta give, props to Gladiator out and Don't Hate for at least being competitive. So they're not lying down against teams. 9-15, good for you guys. Buffalo, boy, I'm not sure how they did last night. I think they won. I was just looking at it. Oh boy, let me go back. I'm sorry. They won both games, so they are also up a few spots. So they are up to above the Railers again. So they are in 14th place, I believe. So they're 8-16, difference of -57. They had the pleasure of playing us. We won 2-0, and then we won 11-0. So. Man, they just offensively they're doing better than guys like the Royals. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But defensively they're worse. So they traded away Turk, I believe, correct?
Yeah, yep.
So they got rid of their best defenseman in my eyes, who in game 1, I will admit, he had frustrated us a little bit defensively because we had a few chances that he just simply denied right off the doorstep. So he was instrumental in keeping that game close. But defensively when we played them, they really didn't have a chance. It was just a cycle game pretty much all game. They traded for Line, who I think helped. He was okay. They didn't score anything, so I can't really judge their offense. But they are doing better offensively than their counterparts in the same category standing wise. But I think defensively, I mean, shoot, -26, -30, -29. Not looking great. But they did get Willard the Great, and they did get Line. I don't know a lot about either of those guys, but Lippy, considering, I mean, he's almost at an 80 save percentage, which I always view, I've said it before, as kind of the sweet spot for goalies in this game. Kind of how like 90 would be in the NHL. I think that is kind of the sweet spot as far as like your average where you should be at. So I think for their record and how their lack of defense, I think he's doing really well. And even again, that first game he played against us, he denied us a few times. So, what are your thoughts here, Race Boy?
Yeah, they just traded Sloth and Turk for BC and Baby Fart. They also traded away their leading scorer, maybe last week, I think, in Minesweep, but they traded away Off Walker, I believe, was over there too, and Beeson Shots. So they've definitely traded away a lot of good players. I don't know if they've gotten as much as they've given in return, though. Willard's a decent defenseman. He can have his lapse in attention. That's for damn sure. But overall, he's not too bad. Line is a solid scorer. I haven't played too much with him, but he's put up points in the time he's been there. I expected RTC to have more points than this, to be honest. He was looking pretty good in our rookie showcase team. He was putting up tons and tons of points, but without too much support around him, he might be struggling a little bit there. It's they're having a tough time, but they've pushed some really good teams to overtime and stuff. So it's really interesting. It's hit or miss big time, and they either get blown out or they push a really good team to OT. It's tough to know what to expect from them, but you definitely can't underestimate them when you're going in.
Yeah, and one thing I'll note here, just looking at the stats, is if you count out Highest Sloth, who has not been on their team, and Line and Turk, who is no longer on their team, their top hitter is Salty, who plays defense and has played a majority of their games. But man, after that, you have like no one hitting. You have no one hitting. Damn Psycho is good for about 2 hits a game. And RTC is good for maybe 1 a game. So I think this is kind of confirming in my eyes. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't play for the team. But just, if I'm analyzing data, just looking at stats, it just looks like they aren't doing good defensively.
It looks like Lippy needs to play more games in net too, to me, just based on the stats.
I've always viewed Lippy to be that type of player where he is really good goalie. I think he truly is a good goalie, but man, just not a good skater. He just isn't. It's like Torn in my eyes, even though Torn maybe not the best goalie either, but when he skates out, it's a disaster. And I feel the same way with Lippy. So I think Jimmy is playing left wing for them. And when I played with Jimmy in scouting, he was actually really good at left wing, at least in the games I played with him. I only played maybe 4 or 5 with him. He was really good at left wing.
Based on the stats, he doesn't have any points, so I don't know.
He played goalie,
he must
though.
Be playing mostly goalie, yeah.
Yeah, and that was from Tampa Bay as well. So RTC, gonna touch on that real quick. I agree with you. I think he was gonna be a lot better offensively, based on the captain's team that we had in the rookie showcase. I guess that just kind of confirms maybe just not enough support around him offensively. Probably why they got a guy like Line. But yeah, I think they did trade away some pretty good players. I guess we'll see how they go. Next week they got the Rangers, Phantoms, Railers, and you guys. So they have a decently tough week, especially against the Rangers and Flames. So hopefully they can make something happen here, at least against the teams that they're more evenly matched with. So moving on to the bottom 3 here. Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Their last 10, not very hot at all. 1-9. boy, lost their last 9, so they lost all their games this week. Not a good look. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't care who you are. When you're playing in a league like this, it's tough. You lose 8 games in a row. It's deflating. I don't care who you are. Point wise, they're led by Hi, my name is Ed. He's almost averaging 2 points a game against a team that's only won 5 games. So he was actually on my draft list to be my right winger, like my full-time right winger. So Hi, my name is Ed. I'm actually very high on. He hits a lot. He's good positionally. I don't think he has a great set of hands or anything. He's not going to LT his way through a bunch of people and snipe at top cheddar or anything like that. But he plays good positionally, and he's their top point scorer with a goal per game. So I have to shout him out there, and he's at a 47 shot percentage. So over or just under half the shots he's taking are going in. And he's hitting a lot. So I think he's a stud on a less than average team here. So I'm going to give him a quick shout out there. But yeah, after that, it just drops off simply. I thought Akachi was going to be a lot better. I know that you ended up with him, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I thought Akachi was one of the steals of the draft, and just playing against him, he's good, but boy, what's around him is hard to play with sometimes.
Yep. Akachi and I played together a few games ago, I think on 17 or 18. And he had come over here from Rod, I believe, who also referred me to this league. And he was on my draft list, and he was going to be my last one bod pick had you not drafted him the pick before. So really funny how that worked out. But yeah, on a tough go here. Chaos King, I think is the vice president of the league. Tough go. They just don't have enough here to make anything happen. Vanishing Point has been okay, but they're kind of a little bit different as far as the category where they're at in the bottom 3, because you look at their plus minus compared to like that of like Buffalo, who's just ahead of them. I mean, Buffalo is like double that, their plus minus. Like they're negative 30, negative 27, 28, 29. And they're looking at lane of 18, negative 10, negative 16, negative 14. Doesn't sound too bad, but they just simply don't have enough offense. They don't have great defense. Their goaltending is okay. And off to Tim's, he's when we played him, we won the first game 3-1, and it was actually a tough game. I'm not sure if that was just because we played bad or they played good, a mixture of the both. Not sure what the deal was. But off to Tim's is good, and Hi, my name is Ed is a really good shining star, I think, for them. So, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'd like to see Tim's play some more games in net. He's got a solid save percentage, but he has only like 32 shots, so maybe putting him in net might help a little bit. But honestly, they gave us a bit of a scare earlier in the week. They brought out, I think, pretty much everybody they could, and they really took it to us, and we were shocked and surprised by them, and they almost took some points off us there. So when they want to play, when they show up with all their best guys, they can hang, but definitely struggling for the most part. I think they have the opportunity to turn around as long as they can get some of the guys playing, but I think the morale might be down a little bit. I'm not sure on that. I'm not in their locker room, but when you're struggling this hard, it's tough to get up for games. But if they maybe win a series, might inject some life, and they might start winning a little bit more there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their presumed starting lineup, you have 2 guys that are averaging a goal a game. Kachi, who we all know, maybe not all know, but at least Race Boy and I know that he's a good defenseman. Chaos King, serviceable. Off to Tim's, having a pretty good save percentage. I mean, it's not surprising that they were competitive with you guys, if you catch my drift. So, yeah, I mean, they're kind of where I thought they would be if we're talking about prediction wise. I don't see them really moving, so I guess we'll move on here. I believe
just to touch on Akachi real quick. He was somewhere around like, I think it was close to my top 5 in D-men that I was gonna go for, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean
He's really good when you pair him up with someone.
Yeah, Akachi is a very good defenseman. So, all right, moving on here. Grand Rapids Griffins, boy, they've lost their last 10. I'm not like surprised by any means, but they're kind of where I thought like Rockford would be. Spud, when I play with him, wasn't that bad. He allowed me to, and it wasn't like we were a terrible team last season before I got traded. For those of you that were here, they had essentially drafted Jelly and I, leaving only 15 bods to spare for a lot of more spots. Obviously, did not work out. They they made some trades. They gave us Sankshow. We traded them Yates. I can assure you 19 of those points came with us with the Yates. But looking at their roster, again, not really counting Yates into this because I guess he did play this whole week, so he did score 8 points here with them in 8 games. So he's played 4 games, so he scored 8 points in 4 games. So Spudweiser again, captain wise, he's a decent player. I think him and Yates will do okay together. They traded Guapo. The one and only is no longer there. They dropped Jets Killer. So yeah, I mean, they just don't have defense, man. And this is kind of where I was last year as a player. I was frustrated with it. They essentially have the same D pairing that I had with Jets Killer and Marty as their starting D pairing, and they just weren't good. Turning over pucks, missing hits. They're not a good team right now. They have made some changes. I really hope it works out for them. So I guess we'll see. What are your thoughts, Race Boy?
Yeah, I think Staj is actually their best defenseman. I scouted him, and he was really solid. He was on our draft list too. He's a West guy and really good player. But I guess you can only bend so much before you break. But I think their goalie, Greasy Flipper, has been their most valuable player so far this season. I'm sure he's been getting lit up with shots, at least high quality shots, and he's still rocking a really high save percentage. So shout out to him for holding it in there.
Yeah.
This team has made some, I guess the best word for it, most reasonable word would be questionable trades. I don't know if they were put in a bad position, but I know there were some some other / better offers on the table, depending on who you ask. And they don't care. It's confusing what they go for, what they decide to do with their draft, their trades, everything. So even their keeper in Jets Killer now dropped. I don't know. I didn't expect much from them, and I think their record shows based on their decisions.
Yeah, in my experience, I get the impression they just don't care that much. But in the end of the day, it is all just a video game, and we all are just playing a video game at the ultimately. But it is a league. It is competitive. I guess it does bring up the question if they're even motivated to win at this point. They've had 2 or 3 really bad seasons in a row. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of reminds me of like Gao. They're not, all stars. Garo isn't really the greatest player, and he had Don't Hate as his co-captain the one season. They were only a good draft away, from having a good team, or at least a decent team. The way I look at it, this could have been like Own Distress and Rod. You know what I mean? Where you don't have all stars as your captains, but they had a good draft, and look where they are now. They're in 8th place. So. Coming up, they have a pretty tough week too. Man, that's a tough one against the Red Wings. A little bit maybe closer to the skill level against the Ice Hogs. Gladiators, and then the Ducks. So they get to play essentially all playoff teams this upcoming week. So I hope they do well for their sake. Did I get your input here? About did I?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry.
They're
forgot
struggling.
If I even asked you.
I'm not too surprised.
Right.
Hopefully they can get some more wins soon. Greasy Flipper's doing great in net.
Yeah.
They've got a couple sleeper D-men, but they can only do so much.
Moving on to the Phantoms. This, I guess, is legitimately the exact opposite of the Lightning. Pretty much exactly where we thought they would be. They've only won one game all season. Clearly the worst team in the league. They just have a bad team. Their only star is Crazy Yeti Killa, who is trying his best to push his way there. Bear to Just is there. Pens fan, I believe, is the kid. Or maybe that's 71. I'm not sure if that's the adult or the kid.
This is the kid one.
Okay, so they have the kid, who is surprisingly a little bit better than what people think. But
he's not bad. He's not bad. I think with some support, he could be really good.
Just one of those teams. They don't have it. They don't have anyone besides Yeti, who I think, in my mind, is good enough to even be a starter on any other team. So, I mean, Klein, not a great defenseman. Torn, not a great goalie. Hollywood, when I played him, not very good. Biker, not a good player. I don't know anything about Lars. Topless, not a great player. Pancake, pretty good goalie, I think, in my eyes. Pens fan, pretty good player. And Bear to Just and Yeti Killer are pretty good as well. So, but ultimately, they just don't have anyone that's standing out and doing anything. Collectively, as a team, they're not playing well. Coming up, they have Buffalo, Red Wings, Rockford, and Swamp Rabbits. So they have a decent week, a chance to maybe pump out some wins and get back in the W category. Race Boy.
Yeah, Topless isn't too bad of a player either, but they're definitely struggling like everyone predicted them to. We played them the other night, and it was the first time we scored double digits in a game, and we probably missed maybe 8 open nets, so it's rough. Feel for some of those guys over there, but as long as they're enjoying themselves at least a little bit, hopefully they like the guys around them and they're having fun with them. But yeah, it's a tough season, especially when you've only got one win on the season. But they've got a chance this week for a couple more, so we'll see if they can grab maybe 1 or 2 more this week. I think that could go a long way for their happiness.
For their happiness, mental health. That's all we care about here. And the MHL. Team to watch. I've already said mine. Hershey Bears, my team to watch. Race Boy.
Man, that's a tough one. I think, honestly, I go for the Thunder. I think they might bounce back this week. Based on those moves, getting a bit more depth. Scrub, I think, is back, and Jester should be back, I think, this week. So that'll make a huge impact on them. If those guys aren't back, they're gonna stay about where they are. But I think you might be able to see them move up this coming week.
Yep, I can agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think New York is. I guess it's not really a team to watch, but they're better than what I thought they would be. I thought they would be closer to maybe like an 8 or a 9 spot. So they're kind of a team to continue to watch, I guess. Mayors obviously had a week. I had like 50 points, a little bit less than 50 points this week. So, yeah, it should be an exciting week. I know that we have one of our more average weeks, I guess, kind of a mix of good and bad teams. So, thanks for coming on, Race Boy. In the future, this will be coming on Fridays. The time will change depending on my schedule. So, I will be asking at least 1 or 2 guests to come on each week. It will not be the same people every time. It may be the same people week to week, but not every time. So Any last comments?
No, just thanks for having me on, man. It was fun. And good luck in the coming week, everyone.
Yeah, and also enjoy your birthday, my man. Take her easy.
Hey, you too. You too, birthday.